वक्फ संशोधन बिल लोग
तो बड़ी खबर वक्फ बिल को लेकर आ रही है।
The Waqf Amendment Bill introduced in the law.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Chronicle of Society. As you all know, last year the government presented the Waqf Amendment Bill in the Lok Sabha. Now what happens is when any bill comes to parliament, it takes quite a long time to pass because in most cases when the government brings a bill, it is first sent to a parliamentary committee for review. Here, the Waqf Amendment Bill was sent to the JPC Joint Parliament Committee for the further scrutiny, which includes members from both oppositions and ruling governments. They look at small details and understand what changes can be made to the bill that the government brought to the Lok Sabha. Finally, you must have been hearing about Waqf recently. The reason is that finally the JPC has cleared the Waqf bill, meaning it will now go back to parliament and be passed from there. But the important thing is that the JPC has suggested 14 amendments here. But at the same time, 44 amendments proposed by the oppositions have been rejected by the JPC. This whole matter is about the changes have been proposed here. Let me explain in detail. Let's move forward and first see exactly what has happened. But before moving further, please do like, share and subscribe my channel. It gives me motivation to make more such content. Why was the bill sent to JPC? As I was telling you, the bill was sent to the Joint Parliamentary Committee for scrutiny so that opposition members and ruling party members BJP members could sit together and reach a consequences. Because what happens is, for example, in the Lok Sabha there are so many members, 53 seats, right? So it becomes very difficult to reach a decision there, and often there is a chaos. That is why there are small committees here that scrutinize things properly through discussion. But what happened is that in the JPC, the members will be in the proportion to how many seats parties got. Like if BJP got the most seats in the Lok Sabha, 240 members, then in the same proportion there will be members here. So obviously, if BJP has majority in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, then most members in the JPC will be from BJP and NDA members. So what happened here? In that, whatever suggestions from the changes NDA members gave were accepted by the JPC. But 44 amendments suggested by opposition party members were all rejected. What is Waqf? By the way, let me tell you that this is Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 was brought to the Lok Sabha by Union Minority Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju, and after that on August 8th it was given to JPC to properly examine it. And you must know that the main purpose of bringing the Waqf Amendment Bill is to amend the Waqf Act of 1995, make changes in it and regulate how to manage Waqf properties across the country. But here many people might be wondering what exactly Waqf is and how it is governed. First, let me tell you that Waqf simply means it is the property given in the name of God for religious purpose. Please understand carefully. Suppose there is a person, let's say me. If I have any property, whether it is land, estate, gold, silver, anything, if I want to donate it in a way, give that property to that, it can be used for religious purpose or charitable purpose. Meaning, I am giving it in the name of God or Allah. Then it will be used for the purpose only. That kind of property is called Waqf. And in the legal term, if we look at it, it is a permanent dedication by the person professing Islam. So please understand that here whatever is giving this Waqf, donating property, they should profess Islam, should have faith in Islam. Only then can be property be given. This includes both movable and immovable property. A Waqf can be formed through a deed instruments whatever agreements etc is there. In this, it has also been said that any Waqf can be used for the financial educational institutes, graveyard, mosque, or shelter homes. And once a person declares any property as Waqf, they cannot take it back. If I have given it once, I can't say that after 2 years that no, it was my property, I want it back. As there is also these things that non-Muslims can also be create Waqf, but the individual must profess Islam. As I told you that if you are of another religion, you can also give, but you must be profess Islam. You must have faith in Islam. Only then will this be give. What is Waqf Act? Now the question is, what is this Waqf Act? As I explained Waqf to you, now people keep giving so many properties or whatever is declared Waqf should be according to law. So this act is from 1995. You can see that actually the first act came in 1954. So this Waqf Act of 1995 regulates these things here. Understand, this act a board was created, the Waqf board, and you know in our country there is a board at the central level, the central Waqf board, and every state also has a Waqf board. The Waqf board can be judicial person who has the power to acquire any property, transfer any property, and you will find a Waqf board in every state which is headed by the chairperson. It has one or two nominees, state governments nominate them. It includes Muslim legislators, parliamentarians, Muslim members of state bar council, scholars of Islamic theology, meaning in this board you will mostly find Muslim persons. Apart from this, if you see, the Waqf board has power under the law administer the property and take measures, meaning any properties across the country. If the Waqf board feels that this particular property is being used for a long time for religious purposes, then sometimes the board declares it as a Waqf property. And this is often that you see debates about people argues here about how can this Waqf board just declare any property. So this is wrong. This should not happen. So regarding this, if you see the board members only when 2 by 3rd people agree, then that decision is taken. You need to keep this in mind too. Well, now the question will also come to your mind about how much land in our country is controlled by the Waqf board. Approximately 99.4 lakh acre of land. Understand, if you look at the total properties, it is around 8.7 lakh properties that the Waqf board manage. And if you look at its value, it is around 1.2 lakh crore. It could be even more, but at the same time, let me tell you, if you look at so many properties in our country held by the different institute, this comes at 3rd number. Obviously, the biggest landowner in our country is Indian Railway, then Armed Forces at 2nd number, and at 3rd number is Waqf board, which manages so many properties. Why did the government want to amend the Waqf Act? Now the questions comes, why did the government want to change this 1995 Act? See, here the government was saying that we want it to be managed in a better way. We want to address the criticism that happens here. Like here, the government was saying that all Waqf properties will have the compulsorily register themselves with the district collector so that their actual valuation can be found. So the government was saying that in the way Waqf property were not being registered, so it should be registered with the district collector. That is why we want to bring this amendment. Then besides this, why should only Muslim be board members in Waqf? There can be other too. So we want to bring changes for that. And also until now what happened was that all members in the Waqf board were elected, But now, if this bill passes, all members will be nominated by the government. And that is why criticism is also coming from many people that this way, whichever party comes to power, if BJP comes to power, BJP will say their people will be in it. If Congress comes, Congress will say their people will be in it. So there is criticism about this too. But besides this, another interesting things in this is, as I was telling you, now non-Muslim can also be in the board. Okay, the CEO can also be non-Muslim, but it is written that there should be at least two non-Muslim members. This has happened in this. What changes has the JPC suggested? Now the question is, what changes has the JPC suggested here? Meaning, the government brought this bill last year in August. So in this bill, the JPC has given many suggestions. Total 14 modifications have been talked about, in which 2 to 3 are important. Let me tell you that. First is what I was telling you, in the government's bill, it was said by the government that minimum 2 members should be there. But according to the changes JPC made here, now what will happen in that? There can be more than 2 non-Muslim members in this, because the ex officio members in this could be Muslim or non-Muslim. So based on that, if you see, the numbers of non-Muslims in the board can be more. This is what JPC has suggested. Second one, next another important change made here by JPC is that earlier it was said in the government's bill that decisions, meaning whether a particular property will be called Waqf or not, the government was saying that the power should be with the district collector, the DM of the district. But now what JPC has suggested, they have said no. Instead of giving this power to district collector, the state government will be assigned an officer here, and that officer will be decide whether this property is Waqf property or not. And the third suggestions JPC has given for the changes is about retroactive effect. This law wasn't applied to it, meaning the government was saying that the property from before that were registered were called Waqf. We can make changes in those too, but JPC has said no. Let the previously registered properties remain as they are. Once it declared Waqf, it is done. But as let me tell you, approximately 90% of Waqf property are not registered. So, in a way, changes can be made to those too. And that is why many members were opposing this here, saying that what the government is talking about regarding retroactive effect does not actually apply, because most properties have not actually registered themselves. And this is what the government is saying. Why don't you register yourself? If you don't register, how will things run through proper procedure? Now finally, the questions comes, what is next? First, let me give you clarity that what JPC has done, the government's bill, well, the bill government brought in the Waqf Act is that 1995 Act. They had made total 44 changes, but JPC had made changes in 14 of them, as I was telling you. Now, why does this happen? Look, in this you will see total 66 amendments were brought in JPC, of which 23 were brought by BJP through their members and remaining 44 by opposition. But what is in that? In JPC, if you see, there are 16 MPs from BJP sides and NDA partners, and only 10 are with the oppositions. That is why here the 44 amendments brought by opposition had been rejected, and only the amendments brought by BJP has been passed here. And also here the committee, Joint Parliamentary Committee, has held many meetings. It is being said near dozen hearings were held here, and then this decision was reached. And by the way, let me tell you one more thing, that government had first given them deadline of November 29 to submit report, but it was extended to February 13. You know the budget session is about to start. So what will happen next in that the 14 changes that had been talked about, those 14 changes will have been voting again on January 29, which will pass in JPC, and finally on 31st this report will be submitted, and once this report is submitted the government might get it passed from parliament during the budget session itself. And when it passes from parliament, after president's signature this law will come into effect. Conclusion. The Waqf Amendment Bill has sparked significant debate, raising critical questions about governance, transparency, and the role of religious institutes in a secular democracy like India. While the government argued that these amendments aims to bring more accountability, many believe they could lead to further centralization of power and political influence over work property. But this decision brings us to a much larger question. Why does the Waqf board even exist in a secular country like India? India is a home to multiple minority religions like Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Christianity. At no other minority community has a separate governing body with such widespread control over land and assets. If India truly follows the principle of secularism and equality, why does one religious community have a distinct institutional framework while others do not? And when the Muslim community is already the second largest population in India, is it fair to treat it as a minority in the same way as other smaller religious group? Is this about religious rights, political influences, or historical legacy? What do you think? Let's start a discussion in the comments. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Chronicles of Society for more in-depth and analysis of social and political issues. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.